Short history of Sto.Niño. Among the popular devotions of our country, none is more significant to our people than the devotion of Sto.Niño. This is a devotion with a national spirit, not based on pious traditions and miraculous accounts, but authenticated by history and projected into the birth and socio-political development of the nation. The devotion to the Christ child seemed to have originated in Spain at the beginning of the 16th century, and usually it emphasized the ideas of kingship. From Spain, the devotion spread to the rest of Europe. It must have been popular in Belgium by the beginning of the 16th century, since the image of the Sto.Niño de Cebu seemed to have come from Flanders. And from Europe it spread to the other parts of the world. Saturday, March 16, 1521, the ship of Ferdinand Magellan reached Samar. The natives seemed to be friendly. Unlike other people who were fearful of the white men, the Visayans approached them by their own accord. The natives took their leave and came back with provisions which the Spaniards purchased. After the encounter, Magellan sailed to another island, Limasawa. Through an interpreter, Magellan made known his intention. The Spaniards were welcomed by Raja Awi, chief of the island. On the island of Limasawa, on March 31, 1521, the first Mass was celebrated on Philippine soil. After the Mass, from Limasawa the Spaniards sailed to the harbor of Cebu. They were accompanied by Raja Awi. A short while, the Raja of Cebu, accustomed to foreign traders from Asia, was prepared to deal with the Spaniards as traders. The intervention of Raja Awi and the warnings of the traders concerning the might of white visitors disposed Humabon to make peace with them. To visitors of his ship, Magellan gave a brief catechesis of Christian faith. He spoke through interpreter. 1 week after the Spaniards landed in Cebu, the first to be baptized was Raja Humabon. In the afternoon, it was the turn of the Queen and the ladies. Before baptism, the Queen was shown an image of the cross, the statue of the Mother of God and Sto.Niño. After her baptism, the Queen asked for the image of the Sto.Niño and it was entrusted to her keeping. She was given the name Doña Juana. Magellan became the champion of Raja Humabon. He ordered all the chiefs to surrender and meet the king. Lapu-Lapu, king of Mactan, was no coward, overconfident and wanting to teach Lapu-Lapu a lesson and at the same time to impress Raja Humabon. Magellan sailed to Mactan where Lapu was ready and waiting. A fierce battle ensued, and Magellan was hit and he commanded his men to fall back to their boats. A few loyal soldiers remained by his side. They could not save Magellan, who was wounded again. After Magellan died, the Spaniards fled from Mactan, while the lifeless body of their fallen leader was brought to Lapu-Lapu. Aboard the ship, Raja Humabon and the Spaniards mourned for Magellan. 44 years later, the Spaniards returned to Cebu headed by Miguel Lopez de Legazpi. They were met with resistance and hostility, and Legazpi had to resort to force. Meanwhile, Juan de Camas, a sailor from Bermeo, Vizcaya, headed towards the native houses. He found a box and wondered what it contained. Upon opening it, he saw that it had an image of the Sto.Niño, the one given to the Queen of Cebu by Magellan. The image was presented to Legazpi. The finding of the statue caused a sensation among the Spaniards. They considered it as an omen to eventually convert the natives to Christianity, and went about building a camp and a temporary chapel. The enthronement of the statue in the temporary chapel was held with solemn ceremonies. Attracted by the rites and because of a strong curiosity, the Cebuanos emerged from their hiding places and joined the ceremony. The Augustinian priest, Father Andres de Urdaneta, enthroned the image of Sto.Niño. Then, the natives talked of peace with Legazpi. In honor of the Sto.Niño, the Spaniards organized the Confraternity of the Holy Child. Legazpi and his officials made a solemn bow. The enthronement of the Sto.Niño was the first crack in the hostile relations between the natives and foreigners. Raja Tupas was informed of Legazpi's intention to speak of peace. The Spaniards also demanded for a tribute. A church was then constructed in honor of the image of the Holy Child. The Spaniards called the church the Church of Sto.Niño, and it was the first house of worship ever constructed in this country. Later, it was ruined due to fire. Another church was built, and this time it was more solid and made of timber, only to be burned down once again. The present building of the church and monastery where the Sto.Niño is kept and venerated was started about the year 1730. The image of the Sto.Niño was finally mounted on January 16, 1740. By that time the colonial government and mother house of the Augustinians had been transferred to Manila, but wherever the friars went, they made it a point to spread the devotion to Sto.Niño. It was in 1968 when the image of Sto.Niño was brought to San Jose Parish, while a cofradia was organized by Reverend Far Ambrosio Galindez, OSA, parish priest of San Jose, and enshrined thereat. The statue received a papal recognition on April 28, 1965, when Pope Paul VI issued a papal bull for the canonical coronation of the statue and raised the church that houses it to a basilica status to mark the 400th anniversary of the first Christian mission and its rediscovery of the statue in Cebu. The image has now historically attracted with devotional worship in the Philippines, including processions and pilgrimage and touching or kissing the foot of the statue's stand. Due to that, there has been an annual feast every third Sunday of January, which is marked by fiesta, Sinulog dancing in the streets and prayers to the Sto.Niño statue. In the present times, the image of the Sto.Niño is the oldest surviving Catholic relic in the Philippines along with the Magellan's Cross.